When I started this show, or when I thought about this show, I thought about it in, I think it was like November or October. And one of the things that I thought about was, how can I learn from the greats? How can I learn from other runners who have been doing this for years or have gotten world records or just are masters of their craft? How can I learn from them? And as I started writing questions and adding guests, it evolved from asking questions about speedrunning to asking questions about mentality and asking questions about community and asking questions about mental health. And going into this episode, this is kind of one of those episodes that's going to be more of a full dive into that topic about mental health. And that's a topic that's going to be recurring throughout the show's lifespan. And that's something you don't like, just skip this episode, I guess. But it's something that I really think needs to be talked about, especially in the gaming community. We have such a beautiful neurodiverse community, diverse in so many ways, and neurodiversity is one of them. And I want that to be honored. I want that to be appreciated. And I want that more than anything to be given the weight that it has, and that some people are going to be struggling with things that others may never struggle with. And some people are struggling right now. And so how can we best love our neighbor? How can we best take care of each other in this space while also trying to figure out boundaries, trying to figure out respect and personal space in the online sphere? And those are really hard things. And I do want to say a qualifier that I and most of my guests, hopefully I can get a professional on here at some point, but my guests are not going to be certified therapists. They're not going to be people that have degrees or masters or doctorates in psychology. They're going to be people in their mid-20s who love video games, and they're just going to give their observations and they're going to give their opinions. And I'm going to give my opinions. And those are just what they are. They are opinions. And I've done self-research. I've taken classes in college. I practically have a minor in it, but like, what's that, right? What's a minor in psychology? And so going forward, I want to be more responsible with talking about mental health. And so when I bring up a topic, or when I bring up an observation, I do want to be backing that up with academic journals, not because those are objective truth, that never treat academic journals as objective truth, but because it's data that we can look at. It's data that we can have to back up things and to give us a bit more clarity and a bit more trust, I think. That way we're not talking about mental health haphazardly with other people. And also I think that's going to be a growing exercise for me going forward. And that's going to be selected between guests. It's not going to be every episode. It's going to be every few episodes. And one of the people that I really wanted to talk about this with is a friend. This isn't just an episode where I'm talking with a runner who I don't know. I very much know this runner. He is someone, along with HUDs, is a person that introduced me to this world of speedrunning, and not just speedrunning, but the community of speedrunning. Through organizing a marathon, and I felt loved. And you're gonna feel this when you hear their voice and hear how they carry themselves. You're gonna feel the love they carry and the desire for harmony and peace they desire for this community, and that is special. I don't think it's unique in the sense that everyone has love, everyone has a desire for peace, but it is unique in how they carry themselves to facilitate that. Just naturally they are a person that talking to them makes you feel at home, and that is so genuine. It's so incredible, and honestly I think it challenges me. This talk challenged me to going forward. How can I be more gracious? How can I be more loving? How can I be more involved with my speedrunning community? And I hope it does for you too. And I hope that it gives you some things to think about. I hope it gives you some things to mull over and kind of chew on in your brain, and especially in your heart, as we get into this episode. Some orders of business. I forgot to do it last episode, but I'm going to do it right now. Is that if you could go onto the Teespring link down in the description and buy anything, I don't care. That would be a huge help. It would be a huge help. in figuring out how to get more gear. I can't do a webcam for the other person and share my screen at the same time. It causes tech issues and coding errors because my PC is a potato. Unfortunately, it just got like 2 wires plugged into it and it has an HDMI cord, and so I just plug it into that spud and it works. But and if you can't do that, that's not your fancy. You could also go into my Twitch. I finally got to affiliate because of your guys' viewership, which is just a privilege. Again, thank you for your viewership. But you could leave a subscription in on Twitch, and that would be a really big way, one, to let me know that I'm on the right track of what I'm making here, but also just to financially help in any way you can. No obligation. It is an ask. If you like the content, if you want to support the content, that's the best way you can do it. And yeah, so with all that said, let us dive into episode 5 of Behind the Speed. Welcome everybody to episode 5 of Behind the Speed. I am your host Speck, and today I have a very special guest. They are a runner and world record holder, I believe, of Knuckles Chaotix, which is one of the more obscure gems of the Sonic anthology of games. And it is both an impressive speedrun, it is an incredible speedrun, and what's even more fun is that this runner absolutely loves Knuckles, like to a degree that I don't even match with Sonic. And I really appreciate it about them. I think it's funny, and they play on that all the time throughout their channel, through their runs, and are even going to be running, I think, every game that involves Knuckles coming up here in this year, which is a feat that blows my mind. Ladies, gentlemen, and humans, please welcome Hibnotix. What is up, Hib?
Hello, hello. I am doing quite all right, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm very tired for some reason. So I have my trusty Diet Coke. So if you guys hear Diet Coke drinking noises, that is what's happening. It is me
Nice.
getting caffeine into my system.
To be fair, I'm quite tired today as well. I don't really have much of an excuse other than some excursions in the morning. But yeah, no, I feel you. I don't have a handy fizzy drink with me though, so I just have to slog through.
Yeah, we'll just how to do it. If we fall asleep in the middle of the episode, you guys know what happened.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, they'll get it. They'll get it.
but oh, I forgot to start the run. Oh goodness. So what run are we watching today, and why are we watching
So
this run?
we are watching the ESA. Let me get this right. It was winter 2021. So this run happened just under a year ago,
Okay.
and this was, I believe, my first one of this event. I hadn't got into an ESA previously. I think I had submitted, but in this online event, I managed to get 3 runs in. So
Wow.
I was ecstatic. I thought, how on earth have I got away with this? They obviously must be scraping the bottom of the barrel because they were all sort of really strange games. But I was honored to have it, and it was on a special day. It was also on my birthday, and
Aw.
the reason why I picked this one over other runs that I've done in this game, because I've done quite a few on marathons. The reason I picked this one is because um, I had a whole thing prepped. You can see just in the corner of my webcam feed, you can see my dog, and yeah, that I mean the whole thing. We planned a big thing with this run, and my family were game for it. So yes, oh, there she is.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. I love when the pets get involved in the speed runs. Does she just chill in the back the whole time, or like was it just like a or did your parents let her in and then take her back out after? Or
So
yeah.
in this game, there's as a lot of people will know that there's like a big tether mechanic, and I tried to explain with a dog and a dog lead how the tether mechanic worked. It was very half-assed. I think I just sort of near the end I was just like, well, I think people know how gravity works, so I sort of did it very quickly, and I was just like, right, I'll let you go now. I don't want to don't want to subject you to this anymore, and it was quite fun. The host said, well, I was told in my time hosting I should never handle animals, and I said, well, this seemed to work well for me.
I love that. Um, yeah. Can you break down for me a little bit? So, because I've watched your Knuckles Chaotix runs. I watched your world record run, which is still a world record, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
although it is being not contested, but it is being sort of competed against
Ooh.
another good runner of sort of some of the more obscure games. Animas United is having a crack at it, and it's making me want to get back into the game because this run on this marathon and my world record were done on emulator, but about a year or so ago, I got my hands on the hardware, and I'd love to
Oh,
try and get the world record on a Sega 32X and make my purchase of the console actually worth it because it doesn't come cheap.
yeah,
And
that's even my Dreamcast right now.
yeah,
I've like turned it on like 3 times since I've gotten it. I'm like, why did I even buy this thing if I just
yeah.
I'm with you. Is there any difference between the emulator and Dream and 32X, or does it feel any different? 'Cause I know,
So 32X emulation is actually like quite poor in terms of sort of comparing it to other emulation. I think some like SNES emulation is pretty good.
yeah,
I believe GameCube emulation is pretty good at the moment as well. 32X
yes,
is like the bottom. So the run that we use on the emulator that we use on the board is Fusion, which runs faster than console. So it's yeah, I sort of sacrifice a bit of speed in going for the console, but I think there's enough in it that that I might be able to get it. So
yeah,
we will
more
see.
precision.
Work in progress.
Can you explain to me some of like the core mechanics that I'm gonna see through this, because you like essentially it kind of reminds me of Sonic Advance 3, and that like you can throw your teammates, and you got this tether thing going on. Can you break down why I'm not gonna be seeing like many spin dashes throughout this run?
If only it was as good as Advanced Three's mechanics. I wish. So what you'll be seeing in the start is the sort of tutorial levels. It's sort of getting you into the game, and
Okay.
you have to use the tether. And so the characters have like strength properties as well as weight. So you'll see Knuckles quite often trying to throw SBO up, and like these levels are so much more vertically based than they are horizontal, like normal Sonic games. So
Very interesting.
a lot of throwing up.
Why is Knuckles so
I should
big?
probably I should probably give that a bit more context. um, so there are enlarger boxes in this game as well, and this game is all over the place. It's got everything going on. So there's that, and then so I mean it's only really technical in the first 2 minutes of the run, and
Okay.
then as soon as we can pick what character we use Charmy, who has infinite flight, and we just fly around the levels easy peasy.
That's
It's
awesome.
it's literally we just cheese the game in the end, but I
It's
like
a
it.
gauntlet at first, and then after that it's just cheesing. I love that. That's actually
Yeah,
so much fun. Um, that's super. A lot of a lot of throwing up, I hear.
yeah, just a bit, and it's something that we don't need to worry about with Charmy. And even if we did want to do that sort of thing with Charmy, he's got the lowest strength, and
Gotcha.
he's pretty light as well. So yeah, it's not the best recipe.
Um, so was this your first speed game? Your first speed game then, in terms of speed running?
No, it wasn't. I think
Really?
would I say? I don't know. It's the first one that I felt like it was worth my time grinding, I
Mm.
suppose.
Yeah.
So I think the first sort of speed game that I'd say I fully connected with was Sega Sonic the Hedgehog, which is a sort of strange little arcade number that was only came out in Japan and didn't receive a re-release at all. So it's very niche, and that's made a lot of progress recently. And but it was
Yeah.
the first thing that I got interested in, and in the end, it was sort of a gateway into doing marathons and such because I'd learnt the run and I thought, hey, I'm feeling confident. I saw a tweet by Amber. Shout outs to Amber Cyprin,
Oh yeah. Shout out to
and
Amber.
they were setting up a GDQ hotfix, and I thought, oh, shall I? Yeah, let's go forward for that. Like
Yeah.
first marathon I would have done, I was just like, I don't think I will, but let's do it anyway. And I was on backup, and one thing led to another. I was I was on the GDQ channel, and I was like,
Wow.
whoa.
Wow.
Also, S2 left me at the altar. He he didn't turn up to commentary, so this is my first like this is my first run, and I had no idea. Like I couldn't even hear my host as well, so I was in a bit of a blind panic. I was
Yeah.
like, I
But
don't know
it
what
went.
to do here.
But it went well apparently.
I sort of retrospectively, I'm a bit sad that the run happened because it's probably one of the more viewed speedruns on YouTube just because of the nature of it being on Games Done Quick.
Yeah.
And it's possibly the worst marathon run that's been done, but that's just the nature of speedrunning, because you
Right.
get things quicker. And I think I channeled my energy after thinking the run wasn't how I wanted it to go. I channeled that energy into having a pop at getting world record, and I think there was probably maybe not even a week span, but a couple of days that I had the world record, and I was like, yeah, I'll take that.
I remember when I did my first marathon, it was, I guess it would have been 3 months after I got done speedrunning, or got started speedrunning, not done. And I remember the first time I did it, I was just apologizing the whole entire time because I was messing everything up, and I was like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." And Huds was like, "Dude, they don't know. It's fine. We don't know."
I was about to say, was that the birthday blast?
Yeah, that was the birthday blast. Yeah, that's when I actually like really fell in love with speedrunning. Is when I did that marathon. I was like, okay, these people rock, and I'm having a blast.
I'm gonna say I'm not gonna take full credit for it, but I was rooting for that run to get into because I was on the games committee for that, and I was just like, I want to see this. I want to see this
It's
run.
so much fun.
And lo and behold, the run was there. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that event.
Oh, thank you, Hib. Yeah, and ever since I'm like, okay, I just need to get unleashed into everything I possibly can. Which so far it's only been two marathons, but we'll keep going. I believe the obscure Sonic games are the best ones in my opinion.
Preach it.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So I'm preaching to the choir right here. But you got involved though into the organizing part of marathons and organizing marathons. How did that happen? What was the transition from I kind of lucked out as a backup runner to GDQ to now I am kind of one of the go-to people? I feel like, at least from my perspective, you're like one of the go-to people for organizing events. How'd that come to be?
I'm flattered. So I suppose it sort of began. How did I make friends with Brad? So there's a speedrunner called Viper. Well, goes by the name Viper, and I still can't remember. Actually, no. I had done a few Colin McRae Rally 2 speedruns on my channel, and I'd had this really weird layout. It didn't make any sense. Proportions were all over the place. But he came into my stream and thought, yeah, these graphics are all right. I'm liking how things are just a little bit different.
Yeah.
And he hit me up because he had his own event called the McRaeathon, which was all sort of rally games and like charity marathon. And he said, hey, would you be up for doing graphics for this? And I thought, yeah, okay, it'd be something that I could put on my portfolio.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm doing in a hobby. And I did that, and I thought, yeah, okay, this is kind of fun. And as I got more involved with Sonic speedrunning, I watched the Sonic 2, like the first Sonic 2 tournament done on the Sonic speedrunning channel.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Just the suspense. Oh, there were just like some of the upsets, and
yeah,
it was just incredible. And I thought, I need to be a part of this. This is so much fun. Like I'm gonna say it now. I am not a big fan of the game Sonic 2, but
yeah,
just the suspense from that tournament,
yeah,
it was just such fun. So I thought, I'm gonna put myself forward, and yeah, the team thought that the passion that I had for it and some of the talent that I could bring was worth sort of me being part of the team in the end. So
that's amazing.
Just incredibly grateful that they picked me up, and then from there, all of my other involvements have sort of been, suppose, just sort of linked to that and linked to the confidence and faith that other people had in me to, and I've just tried to apply myself wherever I can, and lo and behold, it's landed me where it's landed me.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's crazy. Speaking of competition or events, Sonic Adventure era speedrunning events has just rated with 14 people. Thank you so much, the Adventure era boys. I do, and girls and humans. I do appreciate it. It is always so appreciated.
And actually, I believe that they've been doing a Knuckles Senti.
Yes,
which sort of links into one of the games that I run, which is perfect.
Oh yeah, you've been running a Sadix recently. You've been running some of the Knuckles story, which has been super fun to see. on Xbox. How and is do you have to? So I actually have a question about this because I've been wanting to get into Knuckles. Do you have to play through the whole entire story again to get to Knuckles, or is it just like or are you able to do like a save file thing?
Oh, so with the original Xbox, I've got a USB plugged in, and I can
Mm.
just copy save data that I know
Ooh,
it just has the Knuckles story, which I'm incredibly glad somebody pointed that out because I
yeah,
was going through a bit of Sonic story and then to Tails story to work out like well, just to get to Knuckles story, and then
yeah.
Nimputs pointed it out, and I was just like, Nim, I love you. Thank you, thank you so much. I needed this.
I'm gonna need to figure out how to do that because that would be very very nice. I rip GameCube runners. Jeez, they don't have a USB port, so that sucks.
Oh
But
yeah, and Dreamcast and
and
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast, dude. I look at my Dreamcast every day. It's plugged in right now. I'm looking at it right now, and every single day I'm just like, maybe today is the day I run Dreamcast, and then I turn on my Xbox, and I'm like, no, just kidding. Dreamcast has better aesthetics, and the fact that it doesn't have, if it had free cam, I think I would only run Dreamcast and skippable cutscenes. But the fact that like to start a run, you have to wait like 10 minutes of cutscenes in order to do it, just really turns me off from it. But I don't know.
I mean, we all play, we all speedrun Sonic for the story, right? We want to
Yes,
watch
that's
a
true.
movie whilst we're whilst we're speedrunning. Well, at
Movie
least I
percent.
do.
I
And the,
do want someone to watch all the cutscenes of Sonic 06 while they speedrun because it would make the whole entire like watch through shorter. I know it'd be infuriating for their run, but I do want to like understand the story of Sonic 06 at least at some point because all I remember is that he kisses a girl and spoilers guys, Sonic gets killed and it is
no way.
yeah, it was it
Sonic is die. I
dude,
can't
I,
believe it.
I don't know if this is true or not. I think I might have cried when I was a kid when I watched that happen because it came out in '06, so I would have been like 7 years old, and I remember watching it and being like, "This is the saddest day of my life.
This is so sad.
This is
Yeah,
so sad."
exactly.
Alexa, turn on Despacito. Um, but speaking of Knuckles, you are the echidna's, the red echidna's big. I would say biggest fan. How did uh well, I guess why Knuckles, why is Knuckles the character you're like, yes, I have made my brand around Knuckles.
So it's partially a bit down from my brother. So we used to do a bit of sort of competitive gaming against each other, and one of the first games that I had just after Sonic CD was Sonic Adventure Director's Cut, and
Okay.
I mean I still adore that game, and I did back then, and I thought I just like this Knuckles guy is pretty cool, and as like I wasn't particularly connected to the series at that point, like those were the only two games that I'd really played.
Yeah.
And as I got more into it, like sort of early teens and sort of looking into some of the lore about the characters, looking up on their Wikipedias and the sort of the written notes about some of the characters in the comics,
Yeah.
and Knuckles just always stood out to me, and I thought, yeah, he's cool. He's cool. And I think my speedrunning endeavors have sort of they sort of come down to my appreciation just like for that character.
Mm.
So even though even though we barely play as Knuckles in the Knuckles Chaotic speedrun, it feels like I don't know, I'm paying something back to Sega. I'm sort of
Yeah.
it's a way of me showing love, I suppose.
No, I think I still think one of the biggest tragedies of Sonic. I mean, it would have made sense with the story, but I think one of the biggest tragedies of Sonic Unleashed is that instead of the Werehog, they could have just had Knuckles, and it totally would have worked. It totally
Ooh.
would have worked if they had just used Knuckles instead. And I think it would have been a lot cooler because he would have the glide, and so I just think they could have been a lot more vertical with it. But
It's
it's okay.
interesting. A lot of people have said like another logical step for it could have been sort of Shadow being
Yeah.
the punch 'em up type character, and I don't know.
Yes.
I'm quite into the fan theories, and I think, oh, that's so cool. But then at the end of the day, it didn't happen.
I think a game, obviously Shadow the Hedgehog happened, and that was not the game that we thought it was going to be at all. But I think a game they could do, and they kind of lab, thank you so much for the raid. A game that they could do that I definitely um uh would love to see in the future. I don't think they'll ever make it though. Is Shadow the Hedgehog, but they do it like Devil May Cry. So like they have like like some of the, or like Bayonetta, I guess, where it's just like really flashy combos. They kind of did that in '06, and that was like something they were leaning into, and then they just didn't do anything with it. Spacebar's broken. What is up? Thank you. We have Hibnotix. Yes, it's awesome.
Eve.
But something that I want to talk about though, going with obscure games, is that you've actually started to highlight this on GDQ's channel in a really roundabout way. Now that I've heard you're coming into GDQ, but you now run a GDQ hotfix show that highlights obscure games. How did you get that gig, and how has that experience been?
So I got that gig. Firstly, I saw that they were like they put a tweet out saying, "Hey, we're looking for more GDQ hotfix showrunners."
Yeah.
And my first thought was, I'm incredibly unlikely to get this because as soon as they find out that I'm in Britain, they'll be like, can you do like American evening shows for us?" And I'll probably say no, because I don't know, there's something in applying for something and then getting to that stage, it sort of feels like validation. And I would have got that far and I would have just been like, fine, okay, they wanted me but I couldn't make it.
Mm.
And in the end, they had a slot that I could go on. It was on a
Wow.
Saturday afternoon, and it was absolutely ideal for me. So
Wow.
I was super happy about that. And I originally pitched, I think, 3 shows. One of the ideas was handheld games.
Yeah. Which you,
One of
you did
the
that one, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
in the end, the show that I've got now is handheld games as well as games that are region exclusives.
Mm.
And the other one that I'd submitted were co-op games, which Frozen Flygon, brilliant host,
Mm.
they have now got that as a show. So
Wow.
I was sort of beaten to the punch on that one, but apparently I had beaten other people to the idea of handheld, like a handheld hotfix, which again feels incredible, especially from like the caliber of people who are submitting. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I still don't quite know how I'm in that position, but there we are.
No, it's been really good. I remember seeing Amber was on it recently. Some really high profile runners. So it's been cool to see your involvement with it, and also to see. I think GDQ. I think a couple of years ago got. I mean, obviously it's still the most popular thing, but I think it was getting a really bad rap from some people, from some videos and some things that happened out of context. And I think having someone that knows the GDQ staff and praise it, I think has made me a bit more not I was already appreciative, but just more trusting. I think GDQ has done so much for the community that it goes unsaid. And so when they do make a mishap, or because it's humans are organizing it, so mistakes do happen.
Yeah.
I think it gets a lot more criticism than is earned, and it's not given enough credit that it deserves. But speaking of marathons, I think it's next week. You're going to be involved in a memorial marathon for the only kid, who was a fellow runner, a really important person in the community. It was really interesting after they passed, seeing how many people had been touched by this person's life, and how has that been? And you're going to be hosting for it. I think you're doing a run for it. How do you think it's going to impact you, not just as a marathon, but also as a much more uh, personal project?
So kid was like a really really special soul.
Yeah.
Oh, they were just like they could light up the room,
Mm.
and yeah, they're just super super like genuine. And yeah, so I mean they like Knuckles, dare I say, as much as I do. And we've got a big, I think almost like a full day of Knuckles runs on that marathon. Definitely worth checking
It's
out
going
because
to be
I
so
mean
exciting.
I would recommend it being that guy.
Yeah.
But I'm opening it with Sonic Blast, which was a game that I did a couple of marathon races with S2, and we brought Kid on for commentary, and of course they absolutely smashed it because they were like their commentary, they were super talented,
They were so
and
talented and very funny, super funny
yeah,
person.
yeah. So it's gonna be a bit somber.
Mm. Yeah.
I don't think I'll feel more inclined to run that game. I've sort of left it in the past for a little bit, but I thought it would be nice to bring it back
Yeah.
in Kids Honor. And Yeah, I'll probably let it rest after this marathon because I don't know, seems right.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think going with that, I think this marathon has sparked a lot of conversation in the community. I've had with other runners, and I think it's a really, it is both as somber as it is. I think it has been something that's been encouraging to see is that the talk about mental health has really started to come about in the speedrunning community. And there's obviously not like a one size fits all and how to deal with that and how to love our fellow runners who are struggling with mental health issues. But what would you say, kind of going forward as we go into this marathon, as the community is still trying to wrap our minds around what happened? How would you say is the best way to go about loving our fellow runners who are dealing with mental illness?
Ooh, I don't know. It's something that's incredibly hard on an
Yeah,
online space because
yeah, yeah.
people can so easily say things and you don't know what's behind them. You
Mm,
can so easily see somebody on a stream and you don't know what's going on behind. And
yeah,
it's, yeah, it's super. I think you just got to assume the best out of people, which I know is something that's incredibly hard to do.
yeah, yeah,
I know not to get too political, but
yeah.
like there's a lot of distrust in the UK at the moment because I mean
Interesting.
our prime minister's just been a little bit of a naughty boy, and people don't really know. Like, yeah,
Interesting.
I don't know, going off a little bit, but I think it's just a case of assuming the best from people. I know that that is something that can go horribly wrong as
Yeah,
well, but
yeah,
I think that's how I found it's helped me. And again, this is another hard thing to say, but to not become too attached to other people. I think
mm,
it's good to have a connection with these games and the communities that come with them. But if that is the be all and end all for you, then I don't know. It's online spaces are incredibly life giving and they can really help you out.
yes,
But yeah, I don't know. It's a hard one to balance.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think something that my parents said to me in terms of loving other people that I've really taken to heart. It's one of the reasons why, despite me being a pessimist, I tried my best to see the best in people. We were talking about a little bit different of a context. We were talking about how we can love our people in our community, and I was telling my parents like, but what if like someone takes advantage of that? And my mom just looks at me and she goes,
Yeah.
I would much rather, and I don't know if this is right. It's just something that I definitely have lived by. So take this with as much weight as you see. But she said that I'd rather be scammed and loving rather than be unloving and potentially harming somebody. And it's something that I definitely have lived. But then again, it's that balance of how do you stay safe on online community? Because it not everyone is wanting to be loving. And so it's yeah, it's definitely a balancing act. It's just yeah, it's so much more complex than an easy answer. But I do appreciate you giving that 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 input to that. I think for and so going with that though, how have you personally dealt or wrestled with mental health as you have been involved in the online community, but just that throughout your life? What's kind of been the ways that you've taken care of yourself, or maybe had a bit of a learning curve in taking care of yourself?
It's generally something that I haven't felt too, I don't know, too insecure about or
Hmm.
too sort of negative about. I think early years, just, I mean, just doing what everybody else does and goes to school, and had friends there. I mean, I suppose looking back now, I don't really have many friends from previous like schools and colleges and stuff,
Yeah.
but it's not something that I particularly mind. And of course, it's different from person to person,
Right.
but
Right.
I find that yeah, I find that I definitely get more out of speedrunning in a positive manner than I do in a negative manner. I know that
Hmm.
it's so easy to be, I mean, drama seems to be everywhere quite often.
Yeah.
And even if it's something that doesn't directly affect you. I know, especially with kid passing away,
Yeah.
like just how deep it goes and
Yeah.
how many people knew them
Yeah.
is, yeah, it's incredible. And depending on how sort of how much empathy you have, it can be
Yeah.
really hard
Yeah.
seeing other people go through that and what it means to them. I think, I don't know, there are just, it's strange. There are a few things every so often that I'll remember or I'll look back on and I'll think, dang, it is really like just kid is no longer here
Yeah.
anymore. And recently with their socials going down,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
we have no idea whether that was by their request
Mhm.
or by sort of families doing, but it sort of stings, and you're even with the comms for Sonic Blast, I was just like, I can't holler at kid, I
Mm.
can't call kid up,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I would have loved to do, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think, I don't know, the way that I look after my mental health is if I know that something is becoming too much,
Yeah.
I will drop it.
Mm.
Hence why sort of I've sort of got a little bit funky with what I've been speedrunning recently, and
Mm.
I've found that doing different things keeps me enjoying it.
Mm.
And yeah, so varying what I do and varying what I sort of dip my toes into is,
Yeah.
yeah, and it doesn't become too stressed on me. I don't feel like, oh, I'm trying to keep sort of in touch with all of these different spaces. I think I
Yeah.
just think about me and the things that I do need to commit time to, I will.
Mm.
And yeah, just make sure I'm not overdoing it, which I think is something that is very easy to do in the speedrun space. I know plenty of
Yeah.
marathon organizers who have said, yeah, this is too much, we need a break. And
Mm.
it's something like it's what's the word? It's important when people recognize, and it's really brave to recognize that you're doing too much, because
Mm.
there are so many people
Wow.
who they're sort of built for marathons and they like and organizing marathons, and they're like, oh yeah, we can just absolutely knock these out, we can just do so many of these, but it does hit you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's brave to say no, we can't do anything at this moment in time, and we will take a break, which,
Mm.
yeah, and you got to keep track of your friends that might be in those sorts of positions and be like, yo,
Mm.
we
Wow.
need to talk about this, or you need to stop.
Yeah.
Just sort of be quite frank with people. But again, that's
Yeah.
another thing in online spaces. It's hard to convey that, and you've got to say
And say
like,
it with love instead of like,
yeah,
being
coming
an
from
asshole.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, coming from that place, and you've got to be like, yeah, no, I mean it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm not doing this to demean you. I'm not
Right.
saying that you can't do this. I'm saying that you shouldn't. And or if there's a team of people who sort of all rely on each other,
Yeah.
if somebody's being so adamant about it, sometimes you just got to say, I won't let you do this,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it is going to drive you into the ground and it's not going to do you any good. I
Mm.
luckily haven't found myself in that position, but I've known others who have been like, yeah, sort of hell bent on a particular idea, and somebody saying, look, take a step back
Yeah.
and either share responsibilities around or just stop. And yeah, I
Mm.
think it's done some people quite a lot of good.
Yeah. I think something that I've talked about a couple of times on the show is how to avoid burnout, because I think a lot of people, even in my short tenure of speedrunning, there are so many moments where I was like, screw this, I'm done, um, and I'm just angry. And it was really interesting. I was talking with my wife Julia, and I was like, and she kind of came in when I was being upset, and into the at the time we had an office. Now we don't. It's just a single bedroom. But she came into the office and was just like, you're too zoomed in. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, your vision is just so set on this that you're not even like thinking or being focused on why you're even enjoy, like why you even like the game in the first place. And that was a really big thing for me. It was that like, no, like I do love this game, and that's why I should be playing it, not because I feel obligatory to get a PB. It's because of the fact that I'm having fun. Like if I'm not having fun, then why am I killing myself for this? And it's just a really um yeah, it's just a big balance for people, I think, that I think needs to be learned. But it's also that, it's like the dream though, right? Is to be excellent, is to be the best. And I
Yeah.
think balancing excellence with health is a really hard thing to do, because celebrating health is much is not as popular, or dare I say, as much of, as at least from a perspective standpoint, of an achievement as getting a world record. And so
Mm.
we don't say, wow, that's so amazing that you took a break, that's really mature of you. We say, yeah, you got to keep grinding, man. And I get it. I am totally a part of that. I do believe in the grind. I'm a grinder through and through. I and so I That's how I play games. But it's also that part where I have to like tell myself, no, like, and I think a part of it too is that as I've gotten a part of the SATX community, especially, that as I've talked to people and started to like really just enjoy them, I'm like, that's why I'm doing this. Like that's why I'm enjoying playing. It's because of the people I got to meet, of the fun game I get to play, and just the gift it all kind of brings together. So um, that is yeah, it's definitely a topic, and I think a really nuanced and really um yeah, again, it's just a gray area that you really can't give a black and white answer for, because it's so, and also because it's online, right? And so
Yeah.
I can't, you can't see my face when I say those things. You can't hear my voice, and understand that I'm trying to say that with love. And even
Mm.
then, it's still hard. It's still hard, even though it is on a voice chat. I mean, yeah, I mean, there is, I think, it there's an advantage to being online, is that I can talk to anyone across the world. I think there's a
Yeah.
disadvantage because there is something about physical presence that does give you some help, with body language. And I don't know, like there are so many moments where like, dude, like really, someone just needs a hug. Like that's it. Like, and I can't do that with
Yeah.
online community. Like I can't
Yeah.
give somebody a hug,
Yeah.
and that's sometimes just what is needed, is just a, man, that sucks. Here's a hug.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a weird thing, but something
Sort of
that,
going
yeah,
going back onto what you were saying about sort of speedrunning and how sort of well how you sort of go into it and how you do grinding. It's interesting
yeah,
thinking about mental health and other people as well as you. It's speedrunning is just all about comparison. You're
mm,
either comparing against yourself, you're
yeah,
comparing against
yeah,
what you can do,
wow,
your splits, or what you have done, or other people. And I think it's important that you I don't know, it's good to have competition, but
right,
if it's healthy,
right,
if it's something that's completely sort of corrupting you and you're just like, I need this, I have to get this. It's
yeah,
good to have goals, it's good to have motivations, but if
yes,
it's at the expense of your health and you recognize that in somebody else, then it's
yeah,
definitely yeah, that's where good friends have to step in. And in the end, if that's something that the person who's suffering from it, if that's something that they don't accept and they're just going to keep on going, then
yeah,
it's a hard space to be in.
yeah, yeah,
I can luckily say that I don't think I've had anyone that I know who's been in that sort of position,
yeah,
but I imagine it's more common than we'd like to think it is.
yeah, no, I think yeah, I think it's a lot more common than we like to think it is. And I think, for me, I know this is just completely for me. I don't know this for anyone else, but I know when I'm having a really shitty day and I come to speed running, I for it is sometimes a fix for me, which I don't, and sometimes it's healthy, and sometimes like I get to, and when it's expressive play, right? But there's other times where, like, if I don't get a PB that day when I'm just not feeling good, I feel so much worse. And
Yeah.
um because now it's like, damn, not only do I feel like shit, now it's like I just wasted 3 hours doing nothing. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that it's like when I'm not feeling good, that's when I'm like, okay, I need to like just take a break today. Or my focus needs to change, in that I just need to have again, just have fun. And And so yeah, it's definitely been a journey to learn. And yeah, that still kind of blew my mind how you were like it's about comparison. That's really true. That's kind of, but that's still kind of getting to me. Um, but yeah, maybe how to find a way to play without comparison. I don't know. That sounds interesting. And is that the point? If it's not the point, I don't know. I don't know. But
It sounds like something that's very profound that I thought of
yeah,
before this. I definitely didn't. It came to me in the middle of what you were saying. I was just like, "Ooh, this is really deep. I wonder
that's
if I
really
can catch
deep.
them with this.
No, I
I
love
wonder if I
that.
can catch them with this." And
Oh, it's good. No, I'm gonna be thinking about that one. That's gonna be a journal entry. I'm gonna write that in my journal and be like, all right,
oh, let's go.
dear diary. Uh,
Speedrunning is comparison.
speed running is comparison. Let's talk about it. Talk about my ego. Get really like new age spirituality with it. But speaking of that though, you are a deeply religious person. Something I know about you. I think a lot of people in the community know about you. And I think something that's really interesting about being deeply religious is that you're now in a space, or you've been in a space, and you've had to navigate a space, um, in a community that is centralized around a passion rather than a centralizing belief. How has that impacted you, and how have you navigated that space when there is so much diversity in the community?
It's something that I have had to adjust to. I think
Hmm.
as a result, or like sort of as a product of how I grew up in faith,
Yeah.
I was quite sort of probably narrow-minded is the right way of putting it,
Yeah.
and I didn't really know all too much about the world and about different people, especially because I live in the UK and a particular part of England that is it's just not very diverse at all,
Yeah.
and it's yeah, I mean it's really opened my eyes, and I think I think my spirituality has actually helped in terms of how I navigate it because
Hmm.
I try, even though I don't do a brilliant job of it. I know that there is no perfect representative of a religion sort of in person at the moment, but
Yeah.
I sort of try my best to come from a place of love
Yeah.
and to yeah sort of project that and try and maybe not instill that in other people because it sounds like I'm sort of trying to force something on them, which I'm definitely not. It's
Yeah.
just yeah, I want not people to see the same things as me, but
Yeah.
to somewhat be maybe inspired. I don't know.
Mm.
I'm probably searching for a word that I can't find at the moment,
Yeah.
but it's something along those lines. And I'm not trying to like convert people. I'm not trying to make people holy. I'm just trying to
Right.
make people the best that they
Mm.
can be. I
Yeah.
know that sounds weird, and I'm all I am is a classic series Sonic mod,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't know. It's interesting, sort of having that mindset in and amongst people who have all of their own sort of independent mindsets,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
especially in a space where you're moderating and where you have to adminicate things. And
Mm. Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting, and I think that's why it's super important. Maybe not in sort of like individual areas like community streams, but in communities like speedrunning sub-series and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah.
think it's important that there's a team because once there's one person at it, that's just one person's ideas,
Mm.
and it's important that yeah, it's I don't know. Well, I mean, it's all about community. It's all about a team. I know that
Yeah.
when SRC was acquired by I can't even remember their name now. But when speedrun.com was acquired,
Yeah.
a lot of people were like, this seems like very against the community, and there was a big sort of response from the community at large saying,
Yeah.
hey, this like cool, but also don't forget that it's not a business venture,
Right.
it's a community space. Like yeah, you can see it as a business venture and there are good ways of going about that. I'm not going to go into that because I'm not a business person, but
Right.
it's yeah, I don't know, there's definitely something to be said for I've completely lost view of what the question was.
Just how you've been navigating the community as someone that is deeply involved in the religion. And I guess kind of a follow up to that, in talking about community is that we don't really talk about religion that much. Although last night in the Sadix Discord, I actually did talk about it. Someone asked about it though. It wasn't like unwarranted. At least I don't think it was. But then I definitely like like when like you started a thought and then you accidentally like say something that is curious enough, and then it kind of leads to you oversharing. That was definitely me last night. I was like, shit, like no, stop. So I was like, how do I cut this off? But so I think I started talking about anime or something. Thank God. For anime,
Nice. That's an easy segue.
it's
Easy
an
segue.
easy segue. God to anime, yeah, easy. But how do you think your belief has impacted or guided you in community involvement, moderation, even in speedrunning at times? I know for me, I personally, I don't really affiliate with a official religion at the moment, but there have been moments where I have done some like mindfulness stuff, some centering prayer stuff that has helped me in keeping a level head, but nothing like
Yeah.
deeply spiritual. But how would you say that yeah, religion or and belief has kind of guided you in being involved in the community as well as moderating and being loving to other people?
I think it's made me more reflective. I
Mm.
think I try and think about people in communities, and quite often I'll hear about somebody's struggles and I'll try and sort of keep them in my thoughts. It's sort of given me more people to think about and to lift up in sort of in worship, or well, maybe not worship, but lift up in prayer and sort of
Yeah.
thinking about people and what they're going through. And I
Mm.
think it's I don't know, it's interesting because if you're sort of affiliated with any religion,
Yeah.
you'll know people will talk about decision making as discernment,
Yeah.
and how that's something that you think about for a long time, you wait on, you pray on. And I think, like I said about being reflective, I think it's made me take my time with things, because usually I think previously I was just quite right. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this decision, and it's off. Like
Mm.
I'll type out a message, I'll send it to somebody,
Yeah.
and then I'll
I've
get a
been there.
reply, and I was just like, maybe I shouldn't have sent that,
Yeah.
or
Oh yeah.
maybe I should have done something different in that message.
Yeah.
I know that I've had that, yeah, at least once.
Um, and it's so kind of moving forward with that. I think something that I brought up recently on Le Twitter, which is a very interesting website, but to be
Indeed.
on. But I think something that I've definitely been struggling with and trying to figure out and navigate, because for me, majority of my life was in person relationships, and now as I've been moving to more online relationships and deeper relationships on that, and not that they need to be deep, right, but just like consistent, right, like being able to just talk to people, how to
Yeah.
navigate that community. But there's still etiquette, there's still personal boundaries, there's still respecting other people. And something that I've really been seeing as someone that's gotten into streaming and also been following streamers, is something that I have to continue to remind myself, is to not to fall into something that is being described by psychologists as parasocial relationships, where you're not actually
Yeah.
knowing somebody, but you know the entertainer of somebody, and so you're not really getting to know them, you're getting to know the streamer as a streamer. And so what is the boundary line between those two things? And how would you say, like, what are some tips, some things that maybe even mistakes, but like what are some things that you've used to navigate that space and to navigate that world that isn't really clearly defined yet is still very much I guess involving people,
Oh, I think that's a hard one. That
It's a
is a
really hard,
big. That's
that's a tall order, sorry.
a big topic, but I think when it comes to speedrunning and just the manner that it is, I
Yeah.
think more people are sort of receptive to a community and building those sorts of relationships, because I sort of rushed into speedrunning and found a community very quickly
Yeah.
and a group of friends. So it's definitely an interesting question, sort of talking about it from my perspective,
Mm.
because everything sort of came quite naturally, and I've got some really nice friends out of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's I think, well, I mean, it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
Um, I will be probably, I don't know whether I'd be more receptive or less receptive compared to the average streamer of sort of getting to know people. I'd like to consider myself friendly enough.
Yeah.
People can disagree in the chat if they want, but
Yeah.
it's yeah. I think you just got to realize you got to remember who's behind the screen. You got to remember that there's probably somebody behind the person who's behind the screen
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's something that they've got to put on, especially with people who sort of do speedrunning as a job. Because
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the more that they're invested in their stream, in their community, yes,
Yeah.
they are that like they do appreciate you, but also they've got to love and appreciate loads of other people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's I don't know. Again, this is a strange one when I said you got to try and assume the best out of people.
Right. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't know who these people are DMing you if you are somebody in a big position, like a famous position,
Mm.
and yeah, yeah, it's certainly an interesting one. I think it's more of an issue when it comes to full-time streaming and people who do that as entertainment, because
Yeah.
quite often speedrunning is more seen as like watching streams for the particular games. I know that's not always the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are some exceptional characters out there, but it's more it's more per game basis. So I think it's less an issue, but it is definitely present, and I think people have just got to realize, would I be comfortable with some rando that I don't know doing this to me?
Mm. Yeah.
And I'll like I don't know, it's hard to read cues, especially when it just comes to like text messages, but
Mm.
I don't know. I think as long as you've got some common sense and you can read sort of flags and read hints,
Yeah.
then I don't know, you can keep yourself out of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is a doozy. But I do think it's something that weirdly enough, I think the pandemic has actually helped in teaching or kind of giving a faster learning curve for people in terms of that. But yeah, it's definitely still something that, again, like most of these we talked about, is a gray area. But I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it's still really good. It's amazing. But as we are coming to this final boss, there are a couple last questions I want to ask you. Some hot take questions, if you will.
Ooh, already.
That are not as deep. So if you were here for the deep conversation, this is your time to leave. But if you want a funny conversation, here you go. Besides Chaotix, or maybe Chaotix isn't even your favorite. What's your favorite Sonic game, or Sonic series game, both in the 2D and the 3D?
I think favorite 3D game. I think it's got to be Sonic Adventure and its many variations. If I had to pick a specific one, it would be Dreamcast. Although I didn't have a console until I was 16, and the first one I did have was a Dreamcast. I was a couple of generations behind, but I
Very
love the
based.
Dreamcast. The Dreamcast is pretty cool, I got to admit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've sort of from that I've found myself going down the rabbit hole of sort of those era of consoles, going down like playing PS1 and PS2 games. And I'm like,
Yes.
no,
Yes.
this is emptying my wallet. This is too much. But
Yeah.
I think definitely Sonic Adventure for 3D games. I'm gonna take a brief pause
Yeah.
because this is where things get a little more interesting. So we saw the dog at the start.
Yeah.
For those of you who have just come in, I'm not going to spoil it because keep an eye on what's going on my camera feed.
Oh. Oh. Oh my gosh. Your family.
It was a birthday.
Oh my gosh. It is so sweet. It is literally the sweetest thing I've ever seen. Oh my gosh. I'm about to like start. That is so kind. They gave you a birthday cake on stream?
The eagle-eyed among us will realize that the cake is actually a Mario cake. Bless them. Bless them. Like, I think my mum had probably gone through and she's just like, let's see if there's a video game cake. And I thought, oh, why didn't they just do like a normal looking cake? Like it doesn't have to be fancy. And they came
Chose
through with a Mario
Mario.
cake, and I was just like, well,
Mario,
okay,
Mario,
that
Mario.
I think that makes it even better. And
It is
yeah,
so
no,
funny.
they
Your
were all up
family's
for that. And
amazing.
so what we did is that we coordinated it. So I said to my host beforehand, right, we're going to get a donation from HHHQ saying, open your door. And I said, can you please read this out? Otherwise, my family are going to be stood behind the door and they're not going to come through and do this grand surprise. So he did that. And in fact, actually, before he read it out, I'd said, oh yeah, can you have you got any more donations that are worth reading? He said no, and I was like, excuse me, I hope we have. And lo and behold, they contributed a really like quite a generous amount towards the charity, and they came through and did that, which was a lot of fun. And a
That
lot
is
of there
amazing.
were I think that was probably the most birthday wishes I've ever got. I think everybody sort of popped off in chat, and I was just like, oh,
That
thank you
is
everyone.
very sweet. That's a good one. Okay, runs over, but I do have one last question for you. This is our
Also,
this.
favorite
Oh,
2D
2D,
Sonic
2D,
game.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Probably got to go with S3K, Sonic 3 and
Sonic
Knuckles,
3K, yeah.
because
I thought so.
it's a complete game, and
Yeah.
it's chef kiss. So good,
It's such a good
so
game.
good.
I every stage but Carnival Night Zone, I am like so about, but I don't think we have enough time for me to give my grievances about Carnival Zone. So, um,
Nice.
last question, because I told you I was gonna ask you this, and this is the real hot take. Do you think that 2D games are harder than 3D games in terms of speedrunning?
So I don't know. I have more experience with this than others, but I
Yeah,
still don't feel I'm properly qualified to make a general decision on
yeah,
this.
yeah,
I think. Oh, I don't know. So even like the complexities that I have noticed in 2D Sonic games
yeah,
are rough. Like things that are based on RNG. I know that
yeah,
that's still very much a thing in 3D Sonic games,
yeah.
and in fact, I seem to be attracted to RNG categories, which sucks, but I take what I can.
Right.
Um, yeah, there's I don't know. Like I think I'd say 2D. I
Yeah,
think if I'm talking just Sonic, I
yeah.
know.
Just Sonic. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, if I'm talking just Sonic, I'd probably say 2D. Although,
It's a
in
really
all
hard
honesty, like
comparison.
like
Yeah.
that's if somebody sort of gun to your head, you have to say something. I would say 2D, but I think depending on what games you actually highlight, and like if you sort of sieve through a
Yeah.
couple and put them in front of me, like there would be a lot of 3D games that I'd be like, yeah, that one's much harder than
Yeah.
than the 2D games. But the problem is that there are so many, like Sega were just like, well, we could do anything with Sonic. We'll put him in a party game.
That's true.
We'll put him in like a weird isometric couple of games. We'll put him in a trying to think of other like weird 3D
Oh,
examples.
Smash Brothers. They put him in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how a speedrun of that looks. That would be
I
interesting.
think it's like the classic mode. I think that there are speedruns of it. They're like they're insane too. They blow my mind
I
how they
think
do
I've
it.
seen some tool assisted speedruns of Smash, which are pretty fun.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think even. But if I had to give a definite answer, I'd say 2D. That might just be because like classic Sonic speedrunning seems.
So
I was about
complex.
to say yeah, and I don't know. I don't actually know, sort of weighing up modern and classic, whether there is more modern games or classic games at this point. I have sort of lost track, but I know that generally more people pick up the modern like 3D games, and I
Yeah.
think that's probably because of the demographic of people who speedrun. Because you'll hear a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, I speedrun Sonic Adventure 2 because I grew up playing that game and I love it."
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
there are still like
Which used
some
to be
some old
people
heads
with the
that
classic games, right?
yeah.
Like, but yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, and it's gone past that phase, and I think like there's sort of been ushered in a new younger generation who have been inspired by all of the older runners,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's interesting to see the different cycles that they go, like different speedrun communities go through, even if it's something that I've just like spectated in. I mean, I haven't. I was about to go off on a long one about my speedrun history. I thought about probably 8 or so years ago, I saw some runs of Sonic Unleashed, and I was just like, wow, this is super sad. Who
That
who
game
is
is nuts.
who is like who is putting in all this time and doing this? Like I
Shadow, that's who's
yeah.
putting all the time.
So I think the ones that I originally watched was Darkspine Sonic, of course,
Yes, yes,
and
yes, yes. Shout out to
I
Dark
think
by Sonic.
Parax. I think he was called Parax.
Okay.
And yeah, I was just like, wow, this is incredible, but really sad. I could never see myself doing this. I hated like perfection in video games. I'd see time trial leaderboards, I'd see people at the top, and I was just think, that's incredibly sad. I will never be doing this. And lo and behold,
Here you
it is
are.
the 29th of January, 2022. I'm on an interview that revolves around speedrunning and perfecting video games and playing video games. So yeah, I mean, we've all had our thoughts change about something
Oh yeah,
at some
totally.
point, and that was quite a strong example for me.
Yeah, for sure. So as we close this out, speaking of your speed runs, where can we watch you run? Both your recordings, live, um, Twitters. God, what am I, like 80 years old? Jeez. I can't believe I just said that. Social medias. God.
These
uh
kids on their Twitters.
the kids on their Twitters and their gadgets and androids and whatnot. Yeah, where can we find you?
I am very easy to find on all platforms.
Okay.
I have managed to get a unique enough name that nobody else has claimed it. They originally people had taken Hibnotix, which was my old sort of alias with a C on the end, and
Oh.
I adapted it for Twitch because somebody had taken Hibnotix. I put Hibnotix streams. But if you want to find me now, I am much easier to find. Hibnotix on YouTube, on the Twitters, on Twitch. Yeah, quite straightforward to find. If you like Knuckles speedruns, if you like obscure, weird, like strange PlayStation 1 runs,
Connect
like
runs.
yes, Connect runs too. I've stooped to that level. So yeah, I do the runs that other people are scared to do.
Shovel Claw says,
But
"Jokes on you. I love Knuckles runs." That's
let's go.
very base.
I know that Shovel Claws does. That's what I love about it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hib, thank you so much for being on the show. We
Thank
will
you.
be back next week. I'm pretty sure. Depends on fast pace for or not fast pace for head space. The only marathon. I want to make sure that we are respecting that time because it is a memorial. Also, it's a part of our community. So time might actually be tentative, but it should be next weekend with Brandino. We are going to be watching Conker's Bad Fur Day and also drinking along with Conker some adult drinks. And it's going to be a wonderful time. So we'll see you then. Hib, thanks so much. And have a great day, evening, whatever your time zone is giving you. Have a good one.
Love you, Brandino.